Hello, this is Gloria J. York, Master Tarot Reader for over 25 years and spiritual channeler since birth. Also, best-selling author of the #1 bestseller, Medical Manslaughter. Will your doctor cause your death? Please read it. It will save your life. Well, here we are in the month of May. How time flies. Just seems like yesterday we were doing the Easter Tarot read. And as you will note, many things that were mentioned in the Easter Tarot read have come to fruition. Remember, Spirit advised us to watch our words. Watch what we say, because once it is spoken, it cannot be taken back. And yes, many of us have learned that lesson this past month, haven't we? So think before you speak. Also, we're getting a little antsy with our quarantine. And we've learned a lot about ourselves and a lot about our families and a lot about our friends. Some of us have learned that we don't enjoy being with our families that much. And yet, we love them so. And so we've come up with creative ways to be with them, doing crafts and artwork, watching movies, TV, listening to music. So we've had to be quite creative to get through this pandemic and this time of quarantine and being tied down, because that's not our nature. We were born and raised free, and we enjoy that freedom thanks to our great-grandfathers, our grandfathers, our fathers, our uncles, our brothers, our friends who had gone to war to fight for our freedom and for us to have democracy. And now we've all gotten a little taste of what it would be like if we didn't have democracy. And when you don't have democracy, you have communism, you have socialism. You don't have freedom anymore. And that's why this election coming up in November is so tremendously important, that we get out in person and vote. Because once we would lose democracy, we would never, ever get it back again. And so we don't want to be like the trucks up in Wisconsin more recently, where a month after the election, they found a couple truckloads of ballots that weren't counted. So mailing your ballot in is not a good idea. Sorry to say. We have a lot of corrupt people out there, evil people that want to manipulate results. So go to the polls in person. Take your time, go to the polls in person, and place your vote. Okay, well, we are going to do another read here for the United States of America. Last month, in doing it for the first time, we had an overwhelming response. And so I will continue to do that each month. And as I said, some things that came about and were mentioned last month did come to fruition. There were surprises, weren't there? That was mentioned, yes. And a lot of what was mentioned is going to flow now into May. And there are going to be more surprises. And may I say, in just casually looking over the cards, I could see that there's going to be some shocking news. Surprises sometimes are happy, and sometimes shocking is not such happy news. But at all cost, we must face the truth and demand to hear the truth, no matter what the dilemma might be. And so let's take a look here at what Spirit has to say. And as you know, this channel is a little different, maybe a lot different than many of the other tarot read channels. In being a spiritual channeler, I get to focus and meditate on the cards. I deal them out, and then I ask Spirit to enlighten me as far as interpreting what the cards are saying. What does the future look like? And that's the way that I do it. You could see a little bit of the spread that I have here, which is the Celtic Cross. And I like the Celtic Cross because there are many, many spreads, maybe hundreds. But I like the Celtic Cross because it tells the full story. It starts with the beginning, where we're at presently, and then it moves itself into the future. And so that is what I've laid out here for the read for the United States of America. And so let's begin for May 2020 for the United States of America. And please let me remind you, as I am reading the cards here, you see the word subscribe. Click on it now. Click on subscribe and the little bell, because anytime I post a video, which you know is frequently, definitely monthly, you'll get a notice and it'll tell you that a new video is up. And so then you can watch it immediately. Otherwise, you might miss it. I know you don't want to do that. When we're finished, if you like the video, like what you've heard, click on like and do share it with your family and your friends. You could easily share it through Messenger or Facebook, Twitter. There's many ways, as you know. And if you would like, please scroll all the way down to the bottom and leave a comment. I love to read your comments. Okay, well, let's get started here. All right. In the present position here, we see we have the Queen of Pentacles. Now, the Queen of Pentacles is a marvelous card. The Queen of Pentacles tells us that there is money, there's comfort, there's consolation, there's ease and laughter. And of course, as I said at the beginning, there's money. But you'll notice that the Queen of Pentacles have come up in reverse this time. And well, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Because there's many of us who just don't have enough money at this time. We're not working. We're just coming out of quarantine. And it's a wonderful thing for us to do because it's time. We need to get back to work. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Some people only have enough savings to get them through 2 months. And those 2 months now are exhausted. And yes, the federal government is helping us out by sending stimulus checks. And they're to be applauded for that because they know how difficult this has been. But in trying to serve every American, there's only so much money to go around. And so we're watching our pennies, we're watching our dollars, and one thing we have learned through this is that we should buy what we need, not what we want. It's an important lesson to learn. And we have learned that through this. And our children have learned it because everyone is so used to, I want, I want, I want. And well, during this period, everyone has had to learn that there's only so much money, and so let's buy what we need. And it's a good lesson to learn. That's a good lesson because we've been spending way too much money, Spirit is telling me, since December. And so now we put the brakes on. So that's where we are presently. And of course, influencing that card is the Nine of Rods. And the Nine of Rods is telling us that once we go back to work, once we start up our businesses again, and in many cases, entrepreneurs starting up a new business, you're going to be very successful because the Nine of Rods is saying that you've gone through the bad times. And now you're looking for victory. And so these are two very good cards to start out with here because they really do emphasize where we truly are. Now, most recently here we have the King of Swords, which means a very intelligent person looking out for our welfare and our good and making very intelligent decisions to help us get through this. And of course, that could be relayed to our president and to the administration and to the scientists and the medical people, the task force, the vice president. And these people are really trying very desperately to keep this pandemic way down and eventually to find a cure so that it'll be erased totally as we continue to go on with our daily life. And yes, the Three of Rods has come up as in the past, this past few months. We really want to get out. We really enjoy having the privilege of traveling when we want, vacationing when we want. And we look out in this card here, it's saying it's looking out from the rough waters, we're looking into the calm. And also, it also details that there might be some foreign problems coming to our shores. And of course, we know the foreign problem did come to our shores in the past few months. As we move to the Destiny card, our destiny for the United States of America, we have the Empress. And the Empress always signifies birth. Now, there's no doubt with this quarantine, there might be an increase in births and conceptions. But also, the Empress signifies birth of new projects, new upcomings, new ventures, new businesses. And so a whole new birth is about ready to open up and explode, just like a bud of a flower. And right now we're in spring, so this makes so much sense. That as the buds open up, all of a sudden there's this beautiful flower. And that's what's going to happen here in America. When our president says America will come back even stronger than before, the cards are saying that's exactly what's going to happen. And so we move forward with confidence. Now, Spirit has just said to me, you are not totally out of the woods. You're not totally out of the fire. But you're halfway there. And maybe in some cases, even more than halfway there. So continue to go and be careful. The governors now have the responsibility for each state and to open them up slowly in phases according to statistics, and I'm sure according to a lot of spiritual guidance, without a doubt. Everyone's hoping for the best. Everyone is trying to remain not only safe, but healthy. And so we have to take things one step at a time, because it is a balance, and it just so happens that the sign of Libra is very strong in the planets at this time. And Libra is the sign of balance. If you know anyone born under the sign of Libra, you know what I'm saying is true. Excuse me. They love balance. They get very upset when things are in disarray, when there's emotions floating all over, when people are disagreeing. They like calm and balance. Yes, just like the scales on the legal system, there must be balance. And so, as we move more into the future here, we see here the Emperor. And the Emperor is opening the door here as we go into the future cards. The Emperor relates all the way, of course, to our government, to someone who is watching over us and ruling. And again, these people are trying desperately to keep the balance of keep everyone as safe as possible. But we must get back to work. We must open up our government. We must open up our country, because everyone loves to work. You feel good when you come home and that you've performed a service. No matter what your position is, everyone is so important. So important. And so, as we continue to open up our country and move forward, Spirit is saying that this is the right time to do that. Now, we get into the various areas here. The first area is, what do we fear? And the card that came up was the Death card. And it only makes sense, doesn't it? Yes. Everyone wants to stay healthy. Everyone wants to make sure they follow the rules and stay well, because no one ever wants to die. But we know that that is the ultimate course that life takes. And many of us have succumbed to death. Many of us have lost loved ones. And they sat there, laid there suffering in the hospitals. And they could not even be comforted by their loved ones, their family and their friends. They were alone. And those of us that had people and loved ones that were dying, and we couldn't get to them, and we couldn't hold their hand, and we couldn't comfort them with words and pray for them as we sat there at their bedside. We feel horrible grief and regret that will never, ever leave us. And that is a separate pain that no one else can share. And we have to think of these people and pray for these people to find some comfort. And Spirit, actually quite a few spirits suddenly have come here. This is very unusual. But there are various spirits here now with a message that they want delivered to you. And as I say, this is very, very unusual. I've never had this happen. Spirits that are here are saying, please get the word out to those who have lost loved ones through this illness, through this virus, that they are so happy where they're at right now that you can't even imagine how happy they are right now. And they know that you were thinking of them and you were praying for them and you wanted to be by their side so much. They knew it. They knew it. And they know it now. And they want you to know that even though you can't see them, they are not gone. They are still with you. And they love you so much for all the love and compassion that you had for them during their dying days and hours. They're telling me to tell you that they're going to be sending you many messages so that you know that what you're hearing here is true. Some are saying that you'll be smelling their beautiful perfume, their aftershave, the fragrances. They'll fill the room where you're sitting, where you're thinking of them. Others are saying they're sending a special bird, a unique bird that you normally haven't seen. It's going to land on your balcony or on a tree outside. And that bird will start singing to you. And what they're saying is, I love you, and you're not alone. Don't ever forget us, is what they're saying. Don't ever forget us, because we are not gone. And they say that's hard maybe for you to understand, but it's true. And someday, they say, we will all be together again, and there will be no sickness, and there will be no hate. There will be only love. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that message with us today during this video. Thank you. Well, that was unexpected. But I'm so glad it happened. So please pass it along to anyone. Pass the video along to anyone who has lost someone. And it goes in accordance with the next card, which is about our family and friends, our co-workers, anyone we consider in our community. And as you see, this is the Tower. And the Tower represents major change. What was will be disintegrated, and we will have to start over from square one and rebuild. And this time, when we rebuild, we will rebuild on a more solid foundation. We will be a lot wiser. We will be prepared. And that's what the tower represents. And so we're getting out there. And we're going back to work. And we're going to go back to going out and enjoying dinners and lunches. And the movie theaters. And the ball games. And the arts. We're going to go back and enjoy all of that. And we're going to be conscious of those around us. We're going to make sure that if we see anything suspicious, something out of the ordinary, someone not acting right, we're going to notify the authorities. Because we know that even though the government is trying to protect us from the White House on down, we also have that responsibility to protect ourselves. Make sure our hands are constantly washed. Make sure we watch out for germs. Get some of those sanitary wipes, sanitary sprays. Be on guard. And so the tower is telling us that as we do that, we will rebuild. And we will be doing it on a more solid foundation. The next card, which is our hopes and dreams, is the Six of Rods. And this is a card of victory. Because once we get through this, Spirit is saying, victory will be ours. Victory will be ours. And so as the scientists, the medical teams, as they work feverishly to come up with an antidote, a cure, a vaccine, it is important that we in the United States of America are the first to come up with that vaccine. It's very important because whoever does is going to be in a most powerful position. And they will have the opportunity to either share it or not. And so the medical team and the labs here in the United States of America can be compared to no other. We've got the sharpest minds, and they are working very hard every single day and night to come up with the vaccine and to be number one. So we have to keep them in our prayers and pray that they do. And victory will be ours. This will be overcome. Spirit is saying, in time, this will be but a memory. But we are to learn so much from it. Because in the shadows, and that comes up through the death card, there are those out there that are evil and do not wish us well. And you right away are going to think, well, those are people in the foreign governments. Those are foreigners thinking that. No. That may be so, but in addition to that, there are those who are our own United States citizens who really wish us demise. And there are groups that are meeting here and abroad to secretly ruin what we have here in America. Spirit is saying that they are meeting in the dark of the night, in the light of the daylight, behind closed doors, all to see how they can overrun and overrule what we currently have here. Our government, our democracy, our rights that have been outlined in the Constitution. They want to destroy all of it and start over with their kind of government, with them in rule, with them dictating what has to be. And that's why Spirit says to keep an eye open, keep an ear open to anything you might hear or might see that doesn't seem right. Don't be afraid to contact the authorities immediately. And pray. Pray for protection for your family and yourself and your friends. And don't forget to pray for your president and his entire administration so that intellectual decisions can be made, continue to be made. You know, if the decision wasn't made at the end of January to close off China, with the very little information that the president already had, if he didn't make that decision to close off people arriving here from China, we could have lost 50 million people easy. When you look at those medical grids, those charts that were scientifically done, knowing what a pandemic is, could you imagine another 50 million people succumbing to death? And that's not fantasy, that's fact. So our president has to be applauded and has to be prayed for so that those good decisions, that sharp intuition continues. So to the point where we are completely out of the woods and again come out a lot smarter. Our final outcome is the Five of Swords. And the Five of Swords is saying that the battle is halfway won. We're almost there, folks. That's okay. You stayed quarantined. You washed your hands more. You disinfected. You kept your distance. And now you're coming out. You're moving forward with your sword drawn. And you're going back to work because you know the economy needs to grow. You need the money. You need the income. And the United States of America needs to come back and be the great country that it was and even greater than it was. So draw your sword and proceed with confidence as we surge into defeating any evil and move forward for our success and our progress. I always pick another card, you know that. And so the additional card is the Page of Pentacles, which means a message coming to us about money. And that message is that as we move forward, we will see financial gain. Just because I want to. I'm going to pull another card. And that was the Page of Pentacles, and this is the Seven of Pentacles. So you see, money will flow to us. Stock market will rise. Businesses will flourish. New entrepreneurs will be so glad that they picked up their sword and said, hey, this time I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to do something I've always wanted to do because this is my life. And people will proceed without fear. Remove the fear. Be brave. Do something you enjoy doing, and you will be successful. Good read. Very positive read for the United States of America. May God bless us, bless our country, and bless all of us citizens. Keep us safe. Keep us out of harm. And may the evil people that wish us death and demise, may they be stomped by us who do good, want good, and believe in God. Thank you so much for being here. And again, share this video. And I look forward to seeing you again. Till then, God bless you and be safe.